So after the hijack Raw failing, it's time for me to talk about this week's edition of Friday Night Smackdown. If you have any thoughts on the show, please let me know down in that comment section below. But if you want to watch my Raw review, I will put it in the description box below. And maybe if I remember, I'll place it up here somewhere in some kind of annotation so it'll make it easier for you to watch. A couple of things I just want to get off my chest about that show that I may not have mentioned on that review before I go into this week's edition of Smackdown. I do find it funny how, even though the fans were going to hijack Raw and we want change, etc., that even though they knew that they were going to be hijacking Raw, the WWE did such a good job at controlling that crowd. They even, in the main event, pretty much said F you to all the fans that hated the Breakfast Club by pretty much having the Breakfast Club end the show. I mean, not only did you have Triple H standing over fan favorite Daniel Bryan to end the show, but you had Orton, Nakayo, and Batista and all that kind of stuff. So all the Breakfast Club members, apart from John Cena, of course, and partially CM Punk, were actually involved in that main event and ended up standing tall at the end of the show. It just felt like a big fuck you to all the people that went there to hijack Raw. Tune in to watch Smackdown, which is the Daniel Bryan show right now, is probably the message they were trying to put across. So we open up this week's edition of Smackdown with none other than Batista. It's good to see him making some appearances on Smackdown, and like some other talent, may I say part-time talent at that. And I must admit, after he turned heel last week on SmackDown, pretty much, I'm really enjoying Batista's promo work. I really am. This is, like I said last week, more of the Dave Batista that everyone can sit back and enjoy. Some of the stuff he says on the mic and some of the interaction he had with Daniel Bryan was pure gold in this segment. Some of the stuff he said was kind of shoot, but worked into this storyline he's having right now with him being this big guy in the business and everyone else being a small, indie guy. And some of the stuff he said in this promo was pure gold. Like I said, he's their superhero. He's what people want to pay to see. You don't need to cheer me. And at the end of the day, this business went to shit when we let fans in the locker room and allowing people like Daniel Bryan to exist in his universe. Just shit like that just makes me troll and lol, etc. when I'm listening to Dave Batista's promo. You had Daniel Bryan coming out there as I was saying he should be embarrassed that a fan nearly beat him on Monday. Like I said, the interaction between Batista and Daniel Bryan was very, very, very good. Almost makes me want to see another Daniel Bryan versus Batista match. Hell, that may be the main event on next week's Raw. We don't know. Basically, we get to the point of the segment where Daniel Bryan knocks Batista out of the ring, Kane comes out, and him and Batista attack Daniel Bryan. And then we have a returning Big Show to come out and save the day, and Vicky Guerrero announces that these four are going to be in a main event tag match. So an effective opener in that sense. It's like the Authority versus the Anti-Authority kind of figures in the WWE right now, with Big Show returning after his thing with Triple H, etc. So an effective opener with some really good jibber-jabber between Dave Batista, so to speak, and Daniel Bryan, the face of SmackDown. After winning the tag team titles in what was quite a big moment on Raw, the first time the Usos have won the tag team championships in the WWE, it was important that WWE book these guys strong going forward. I mean, they had them beat the New Age Outlaws on Raw. They beat Los Matadores on main event. I'm very, very glad that their rematch, the New Age Outlaws rematch didn't happen on main event. And then on SmackDown, they beat Ryback. So they've already beaten sort of 3 tag teams going in their first week of being tag team champions. That's good. And hopefully, with the fact that they haven't yet faced the New Age Outlaws, they will have the rematch at WrestleMania 30, hopefully. Even though it may be pre-show, now that they've won the titles, I'm all down for that rematch happening at WrestleMania, maybe giving them a little bit more time to go out there and have a bit of a better match than what they had on Raw. Because the match on Raw, in my opinion, wasn't all that great. It was more about the crowd, and it was really more about the moment. So if they can have a better match, that would be a good way to just rid WWE of New Age Outlaws, who were no doubt only there for the short term anyway, let's face it. One of the more interesting segments, in my opinion, on this week's edition of SmackDown was the Shield Summit, which all stemmed from Seth Rollins walking out on the Shield in their match against the Wyatt family on Raw this Monday. And I thought this segment was interesting, mainly because it kind of ended in a way I didn't really expect it to. It seemed to me that WWE wanted like a big moment to happen on Hijack Raw to do with the Shield, to get the crowd going, etc. Because on this week's edition of SmackDown, they kind of put them back together, but with obvious tension between all 3, to the point where these 3 aren't going to go in cahoots anymore. And at some point, this Shield faction is going to crack. And that really, in my opinion, probably could happen at WrestleMania. You know, maybe they'll really do the final pin in the coffin at WrestleMania and split these guys apart. I don't know. But it really felt for a minute they were separating Seth Rollins from the group, and then they kind of brought him back and etc. So like I said on the Raw review, it's interesting though that they have given each three of these guys individual characters now, very obvious differences between the three, even though they're supposed to be a unit, which means at any point down the line when they want to, they built this up now to a point where they could easily break them up in a couple of weeks' time, or at WrestleMania, or even maybe continuing on to Extreme Rules or something. This Shield storyline, in my opinion, is being done very, very well. And I'm glad about that because you've got three good talents in there. Seth Rollins isn't going to be a main event guy, but he could easily be a Jeff Hardy-like risk-taking babyface, which, you know, the crowd loves. Ambrose is a bloody, you know, he's basically a loose cannon. Roman Reigns could be a real main eventer in the WWE. It helps that he's cousins with The Rock as well, doesn't it? So this is good. The WWE have done this quite well over the last, you know, 18 or so months now with the Shield. Two feuds and two segments I really don't care about right now are the feuds between Sheamus and Christian and Ziggler and Del Rio. We had Christian defeat Ziggler in the match after the opener thanks to Del Rio's, you know, distraction on the announcer table. And then we had Sheamus defeating Alberto Del Rio in a match later on in the night. And I just, like I said, I just don't care about any of these feuds because how many times have we seen Sheamus and Christian face off and have Sheamus win? Pretty much 90% of the time, Sheamus wins, so why would I care about this feud? Ziggler and Del Rio, how many times have we seen these guys face off? If this is two matches that WWE are thinking of doing at WrestleMania, it will be two matches that I really don't give a damn about. And I would really have expected better for a guy like Sheamus, who, let's face it, is in the lunch club right now for WWE. So like I said, these two segments on Raw involving Christian, Dolph Ziggler, Sheamus and Del Rio, I really had no care for. In fact, I was really surprised after Raw when they had Sheamus win once again against Christian. They were going to continue this feud onwards. I just can't believe the WWE's logic. Let's continue on a feud by having them face off every week and have them face 50 times before they're fucking feuding. There's just no logic to this. No interest, no reason to pay for these matches when they've happened so many damn times on TV, if that is indeed the end game. So our main event of the evening was Daniel Bryan and Big Show versus Batista and Kane. And as usual, I don't really have too much to say about the match. I didn't really pay too much attention to the match. It was your standard Smackdown main event. Daniel Bryan gets the pin on Kane, but only because Big Show KO punched Kane, allowing Daniel Bryan to get the pinfall victory. So it seems now that Smackdown is like the give Daniel Bryan a win because he always gets one-upped on Raw by the Authority show. That's kind of how it feels to me. It feels like, you know, the Authority and all that stuff is, you know, the main thing going on Raw, and they generally get the upper hand on Raw, whereas on SmackDown, Daniel Bryan will always be in the main event and will always get the victory, etc. So he's like the face of SmackDown right now. So if you like Daniel Bryan and you want to see him win, don't tune into Raw every week. Tune into fucking SmackDown because you'll see him win every damn week. And that's not necessarily a bad thing in my opinion. One of the best things about the Daniel Bryan character is the fact that he doesn't win all the time. You know, he's consistently being up by Randy Orton, Triple H, the Authority. That's one of the reasons why so many people are behind the Daniel Bryan character. It's one of the reasons why so many fans have got behind so many heel characters, because they're booked so damn badly that the crowd wants to rally on him. The crowd wants to rally on their side. And it's exactly the same with Daniel Bryan right now, because the more WWE do this, the more WWE supposedly hold him down, even though he's in a match, you know, in main event segments and a match with Triple H at WrestleMania, so to speak. You know, that's Daniel Bryan right now. He's the face of SmackDown, and he's, in my opinion, he still is on the rise, even though a lot of you think he deserves a lot better. He's still getting a big match at WrestleMania, and he still feels like a big deal, especially on SmackDown, where he's winning pretty much every damn week. But coming out of this week's Raw and SmackDown, the big question for me right now, the big question going around, and you can put your thoughts on this in the comment section below, is what the hell are WWE going to do in the WrestleMania 30 main event now that Batista has kind of been forced to turn heel by the fans that didn't like the fact that he got the Royal Rumble win over Daniel Bryan? You know, they really need a babyface in there. They can't have a heel versus heel main event WrestleMania match, especially at WrestleMania 30. They're going to have to put some kind of babyface in there, you would think. Or are WWE just going to be very stubborn and just carry on with Randy Orton and Batista? You know, it's really hard to see what WWE are actually going to do here. And I have no idea how WWE are going to A, fix this, or B, actually do something to make this feel like a main event, which, you know, is going to actually, at the end of the day, send the fans home happy. The only way that's really going to happen is if you have Daniel Bryan in there, and a lot of people have been saying, you know, Daniel Bryan and Triple H's match can be with the stipulation that if he wins, he can go in the main event, and then he can main event WrestleMania and win the belt. You know, I don't know. But give me your thoughts on how you feel this whole main event between Randy Orton and Batista is coming right now, because it doesn't really feel like the feud is Randy Orton-Batista. It feels more like the main feud is either The Authority versus Daniel Bryan, in which that also includes as a subplot Batista versus Daniel Bryan right now. So it kind of feels like Daniel Bryan is the top babyface in the WWE right now, even over a guy like John Cena. I mean, when was the last time John Cena actually main evented a show? It's been a while now, hasn't it? So for a while, John Cena hasn't been main eventing shows. So you guys really should not be getting on John Cena's back right now. He's in more of a mid-card match with Bray Wyatt in an attempt to hopefully put that guy over. Daniel Bryan as a babyface is the main focus right now, which is what all you guys wanted. And let's face it, if it wasn't for CM Punk leaving, this may not have been the case. I'm just saying. If you have any thoughts on this week's edition of SmackDown, which, you know, even the problem is, two of the segments on the show I really didn't care all that much about, even though there was a couple of solid segments on this show. You know, overall, the show was just okay, in my opinion. That's all I'm saying. If you have any comments, put them in the comment section below. Thank you very much for watching this review. Continue on to watch my NXT review, which was uploaded yesterday, and are going to be uploaded every Thursday from now on. Thank you very much for watching if you had, and goodbye.